Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Zelda Book Club, Twilight Princess Book Club. We are continuing our journey through, well, we're on book 1 of Twilight Princess. We're finishing it up, I guess, today. We're on the second half. We're talking about chapters 5, 6, 7, 8, which I believe are those who come forth from the shadow. Link's past. The monster who devours fear, and into Twilight. So, the last half of the book, we kind of slowly got into the serious stuff, and as you can see now, it's all serious. We're all serious here.
It's getting real.
So let's start with chapter 5, Those Who Come Forth from the Shadow. And we left it on a cliffhanger. We didn't know if this was a random scene or what, but Link returns the cat. I'm glad we got some closure on that. A very crucial part of the Twilight Princess story, to be sure.
Okay, so is the cat's name Rue? Because Sarah goes, "Oh, my dear Rue."
Rue. That's a good name.
R-O-O.
It's a good name for a cat.
Shout out to cats named Rue.
Regardless of how it's spelled. Beth, impressed by Link once again, she wants to own the shop. Sarah gives Link some magic tonic. This is new. And talks a little bit about the spirits. Where this is kind of, we're starting to hear about the spirit. I don't really remember the deal on it, but the tonic is connected to the spirits. There's some stuff going on there.
Does it use the Ordon village crops and herbs?
Oh yeah. It's locally made,
Yeah.
So that that connects a little bit to what we were talking about before with the blight and stuff like that affecting the you can't get our magic elixirs if the blight's infecting the place. But Link here finds out about the kids, and he of course runs off after them. This is when the crazy monster army arrives, and they're I don't know why I was like thinking too much in the last one about like what they're mad at. They're mad at the light. They got a grudge against the light world ever since back in the day things split up. It's much like the Super Mario Brothers movie. There's a lot of comparisons that you can make throughout the Twilight Princess's story to the Super Mario Brothers story. I remember making that claim long ago, and I recalled it here as the monsters were kind of talking about their generational, and honestly it's beyond generational. It's because people in the light world don't even know about the beef that the monsters have, but the monsters got beef. We still got Link. He's still got this guilt, and we're still like, what's going on? But then after arguing with himself, we see the golden wolf that he saw in his dreams before. We're just going to lead right into, actually, the next chapter, chapter 6, Link's past, because Russell kind of meets up with Link here, and this is where we finally learn Link's past. Ilya's worried about Colin and is also feeling a little guilty. And Russell is, he finds Link because he's leading a search party for the kids. And things are starting to fall apart a little bit. The villagers are worried about, like, oh, have we blasphemed? Some people are like, maybe we shouldn't be dumping these crops. Maybe that's causing it. They don't know what's going on, but they're starting to fall apart, and they even start saying, like, maybe we shouldn't have welcomed this outsider. And they're talking about Link, and Russell kind of has to stick up for him a little bit. But of course, Link, he's he kind of doesn't fully want it, because he of course has this guilt, and that's where he finally tells his backstory to Russell first. One thing I liked here is Link straight up tells Russell that he destroyed his home. He doesn't really explain too much yet. He tells him he destroyed his homeland, and he ran away, and he lied to Russell, like, I never used the sword, and he didn't want to go to the castle because he was kind of putting on a front there. And Russell he's like, I know. He reassures Link. So I kind of sort of like that he's accepting of Link despite of what may have happened in his life. But then Link goes on and tells us more about his actual backstory, which it's quite different because, as we said previously, Link doesn't have a backstory in the game. He just is there. We find out that he lived on a city on the edge of the desert in a kind of guarded Hyrule, I believe, from the desert, which you might want to do, and based off of what has happened before with Ganondorf, I guess. But the city. Okay, here's where we get a lot of proper nouns. I wrote some of them down. Let's see if I remembered enough. But the city is led or ruled by the Ruffurio family. They're Italian, I think. There's a bunch of young kids there training to be soldiers. Link can kick all their butts because he's left-handed. Here's some of the kids. Ryoma, DARPA. They're training in case they need to drive away the demon thief, as we just discussed, old Ganondorf. They're all hanging out. They're a bunch of kids hanging out, and they're like, hey, we need to get the sword, the secret sword. That's what's going to do it. And it's called the what?
The Garoff sword.
The Garoff. I'm going to call it the Garoff sword.
Very master sword sounding sword.
Yeah, it doesn't
Master sword
sounding.
adjacent?
We got a sword
know.
in the stone
What's its deal?
situation
Yeah.
with this thing. And it's one of those things where all their parents and teachers were like, no, don't mess with the Garoff sword. It's bad news. You don't want to mess with it. But Link, he gets peer pressured. All the other kids are trying. They can't do it. Link's doing it, though, and that Triforce, bling, it lights up, and it causes an insane calamity here. And the hero shade, as we know it, appears, and Link's just like, oh, a skeleton, and it's crazy. What do you think about? What do you think about Link's backstory, first of all?
Well, it's very unique.
Yeah.
It definitely, I don't know about the other manga links really, but obviously nothing we've seen like this in the games. Like, I guess most of the time Link's either with like a non-parent family member, or he was abandoned at a young age. Not abandoned, but Ocarina of Time. He doesn't come from there, but we learned that he was brought there as a child. Here it's like more of a Link had a life before Ordana came, and I don't know, it kind of makes it feel maybe a little more parallel to Midna. They both start out when they meet, they both kind of have this previous life where things are very different.
They're at their low,
Yeah.
maybe. Well, there's some bad stuff going on, so. Yeah, it was very nice and accepting of Russell to sort of reassure Link before knowing what was going on. Because, if someone told me, like, hey, I destroyed my home village, I might be like, well, before I say it's cool, like, what happened, But, look, it's not Link's fault.
Yeah,
You
he
shouldn't
really
just-
takes the blame. He's got some survivor's guilt.
I don't remember how they do it, but I think they just roll up and they are pulling out the sword, and I'm thinking, like, the Ruffurio family, like, or whatever their name, they should just leave the sword lying about. These are kids who are, like, they're training to be knights, but, like, there's gotta be, like, a guy who's like, hold on,
Yeah, I mean, clearly they know that, like, this sword is, sealing some darkness.
Yeah, they didn't tell him, hey, it's gonna kill I mean, okay. And yeah, what do you think? I don't know. I love this big calamity that we see in the screen with the hero shade or
It
I
looks
guess
very cool.
page. Yeah, it looks
He's
very
got
awesome.
some like ivy around his helmet.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like, you know, he's been reclaimed by nature.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we're on board so far with the Link backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think they're actually good with these. You know, I feel like the chapters kind of flow into each other. You know, that we kind of went right into Link's backstory here, and then now we're going like that leads, the end of that chapter goes really well right into the monster that devours fear. So yeah, you know, Link here, he's he's got survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. Fado appears and reveals that there are monsters.
Oh no.
So that, you know, that ups the stakes obviously, and this is finally where Russell's like, all right, Link, you know, he trusts him. He's like, you gotta take the sword, you gotta accept your responsibility, and Link actually does. They do this all right in the game too, like a good lead up to like Link sort of like, are you as the player compared to Link in the story, like being kind of brought into the greater adventure, you know, of the story. I think, you know, they do a really good job here. So the monsters attack. This is a wild one. The monsters attack and Ilya is hit. Ilya's taken down.
Takes an arrow.
Takes an arrow. It's much like there's an epic scene in the game that this kind of mirrors. And Link comes face to face. We don't get his name, I don't believe. Maybe we do. He comes face to face with King Bulbin, who's got Ilya and Colin. Like again, that cool scene in the game.
In the game, I feel like he's just kind of generic bad guy.
He's just like a monster
who eventually is just like he has like a turn in the end.
Yeah.
But
Very cool.
here he's got some dialogue here that just
he's
like
smack talking.
He's grimy.
Yeah.
He picks up Ilya
yeah.
and he's like, "This one is pretty. I'll make her mine." And that just makes me like, this is like this is not the same dude that has a turn in
Well, we'll see.
I mean, I guess
We'll
he
see.
could, but that's just
You never know. There's no coming back from that. Maybe he'll redeem himself.
Like in the
we'll
game,
see.
it's like, okay, he's following like the strongest guy. Here he feels like, okay, he's got some
he's got that grudge. He's been the one saying a lot of that dialogue, you know.
Yeah.
He's pissed. This is intense. This scene is intense. Link, they kind of fight it out a little bit. Link stabs him in the back. Gets brutal. He does a friggin' backflip over him or whatever. And there's some line. He's like, "I'll take your arm off." He says to him. It's intense and it's a brutal battle. They summon some freaking bokoblins up in there. I think. Don't we get a human shield situation? It's so cool. It is like the edgy, like Zelda, that like the game is sort of going for, but it's like really, it's kind of violent here, and it leads
brutal.
to the wildest thing, which is
Link has his arm chopped off.
Yeah, it's like a whole full page thing.
It's wild. Like
It's so
seeing this
wild.
after playing Tears.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is not the first time. Like, well, you know,
Right.
this is a little different, but
Yeah, he gets
It's,
the old Star Wars treatment, and like the way it's drawn, like just there's one panel that's just the arm.
oh yeah.
Then it's
really
also
cool how they show the arm.
again the chapters flowing too. It's the title chapter card for chapter 8 into Twilight. So very very sick. I'm all for this leaning into like the real, like this is the edgy Zelda. Like I say they go for it. They might as well. It's it sets it apart. So he's laying there armless and that Triforce that we saw before, it glows and
He's still holding the sword with his chopped off arm.
yeah, he's dedicated, you know. And the power of the Triforce, and it awakens the spirit in the spring. They're in the Ordon spring there, and you have that one part where it's like the arm is floating, but then they're sort of like, then it has it like kind of carrying it with his mouth, and it's it's cool. It's like mystical, you know what I mean? And yeah, so Link is revived by the spirit.
His arm is all good.
Link's awakened, and Ilya's bag has been left behind, you know, so he's gonna run off to get her. The spirit, he's just like, I'm back, but obviously he is laser focused on rescuing his friends and Ilya. And
he's a little confused because he remembers his arm being chopped off.
Yeah.
He wakes up and it's on. He's like,
I can't imagine.
What's going on?
I can imagine what that's like. And so he runs right off to right outside the spring. There's the sort of a Twilight gate that's blocking him. Looks really awesome, really cool. Arm comes out of Shadow Beast and pulls him in, much like in the game. It's very cool. The Shadow Beast has got him. I love it. The Triforce glows, and then we get the first time that Link transforms into a wolf. And again, it is awesome. It is really cool the way it looks here. I can't describe, like... It seems like it, like, kind of goes up his body. There's something, like violent about it.
What's the movie called? The werewolf movie.
The Howling?
Yes.
It's like The Howling or American Werewolf, if you will.
It's kind of got the jaw, like, elongated.
And it sort of has, like, I can't describe, like, it's almost like, it looks like, I don't know, it's like, it's not like smoke. It's like going up his body, you know what I mean? And, like, kind of, I don't know what that's supposed to, it looks crazy on the page. Like, obviously we'll have some up on the screen, but very cool. I mean, it's a cool scene in the game too, I think, but this is really cool. Actually, I think yeah, we get the, you know,
the wolf art is beautiful.
What's he say in the he's howling. The wolf art looks great.
You got the full moon.
He's dragged off by the Shadow Beast, much like in the game, off into the distance, and he's being, well, do we know, like, there's a lot of things, I keep naming things that they're not said, but he's being observed by an imp, which I guess it goes back to you're saying, like, who's reading this who hasn't played the game, but you know, we didn't see Imp Midna before, but Midna's there, and she's like, aha, I'm gonna use him. Maybe I'm bad, you know. I don't know what she actually says, but yeah, so that's the end of the first book, and I think it gets us into the story overall pretty well. What did you make of it? How do you feel about this overall?
I like it. It kind of sets up Link's character, and then really kind of does a good job of building up to the, like, Twilight invasion takeover, and
big time, yeah.
It looks great.
It looks good. The art is really nice in this.
I'm excited.
Kind of.
Get to the next part.
Me too. I kind of want to reiterate just stuff I said. Like, nothing has really changed since the first episode. I feel like the black and white art style suits the tone of the game or of the story really well. I think, you know, I guess we now haven't seen the characters. Like, the character backstory we got in the first half was really good, and then Link's, I think, was a nice addition so far. Like, I don't know how it's gonna pay off, or if it, you know, where it goes, I guess. But, and then on top of that, I actually like that it's not like fully, we're kind of, it is brutal, it is intense. I don't know if there's, like, ratings on these, but I wouldn't say it's like, this is probably still, like, if you were to rate this book, you could probably rate it T for teen. Still, I don't know. It's not like I don't know. Like the violence of it, like that wolf transformation for one, is a little bit more. It's a bit more like you almost can't comprehend it, like in a way that's like it just looks so. It pops off the page in a very like bombastic way, and it looks violent and horrible, but it's not like gruesome. You know what I mean? Like
it's like intense. Like you can tell he's going through it with this transformation, but it's just it's not like, you know.
There are other manga. I mean, I don't read a lot of manga, but you know, there are other ones where it's like, there's plenty of great ones like that. It's just, I'm just saying it to contrast it. It's like, it's not like the more violent fare, but it is big time compared to, I mean, even Twilight Princess the game. I feel like that has some pretty like intense moments, but some of these really stand out. So
yeah, I think maybe the transformation in the game, like you could probably tell it's not comfortable, but it seems more like shocking to Link, whereas here it really just like
he had to. It happens very instantaneously in the game. It looks intense though, because he's like, but in this, it's like it looks like it's like
slower,
going up his
really
body.
like...
Ooh. And then the backstory will be interesting, and I'm curious to see like what the hero shade or whatever like is in this version of the story, how it's handled, and the golden wolf and what all that. You know, I'm excited. I'm excited to read more.
Yeah. All
right. Well, cool. I think that's it for book 1. We're going to be moving on to book 2. I don't have the chapters down, but we're gonna read there's 8 chapters, I believe. We're gonna read the first half, the first 4. So, thanks for watching this episode, and we'll see you in book 2.